Good afternoon, men and women. We are working on area and perimeter of shapes. We're talking shapes. We say we're doing two-dimensional shapes. And we did a bunch of shapes in class today as our opening. Some of it's review, some of it's brand new. So I'm going to break them down tonight, or right here for you in case you have questions tonight. Obviously, this one here is a square. And if we're talking about the perimeter of the square, we talked that it's the outside of the shape. So basically, it's side 1 plus side 2 plus side 3 plus side 4. And what we were talking about in class today is we've done so much algebra that this is better to write as 4s. We're doing algebra, our whole math in grade 8 and grade 9 really moves towards it, so it's time to start embracing it and not write side 1 plus side 2 plus side 3 anymore and simply go 4s. Anyhow, if I was to give a side, I'll say that the 1 is 10, and if one of a square is 10, then they're all 10. It's simple substitution. It's going to be 4. I put 10 in the brackets. Brackets show that you're substituting, and the number outside the brackets you know means multiplication. So anyhow, this would be 40 centimeters, and that's how you do the perimeter. The area is a little bit different. For area of a square, they said it's side. We talked today and looked at it different places. It's side times side. Again, that's not a bad formula, but we've been working towards that side times side can actually be said to be side squared. And it's better to start embracing the algebra and seeing those sort of connections if you can. So anyhow, we're going to use the exact same square over here, and this time we're going to substitute in. The side is 10, and I'm going to square it. Please don't do the mistake where you see 10 squared and you multiply it by 2. A squared is 10 times itself, and 10 times 10 is 100. Be careful, we didn't much touch on this today because it was just started to be a review, but when you do an area question, you always end off the units as squared. So that'll be 100 centimeters squared. Let's move down to the rectangle. With the rectangle, you know that two different sides are equal to each other. Make this 10 and make this, 4. And we're going to do perimeter and area. So perimeter of a rectangle is really the length plus the width plus the length plus the width. We're working our way around the outside. And with collecting terms, which we've already done, those two L's we can just call it 2L, and those two W's we can just say 2W. We've collected the L's together, we collected the widths together, and that's what we have. And now we do simple substitution. We make a unit there, and we put them in. So this will be 2 times the length, which is 10, plus 2 times the width, which is 4. 2 times 10 is 20. 2 times 4 is 8. Add those together, collect them, we get 28 centimeters, and that's how we do perimeter. For the area of a rectangle, we worked out today and found out that it was length times width. There's not too much to worry about there. You simply substitute the 10 in for the length. You substitute the 4 in for the width. 10 times 4 is 40 centimeters. And remember, we denote area questions with a squared symbol after the unit. So there's our rectangles. Triangles took us a while to figure out. There were a few different perimeter for triangles. If it was an equilateral, if we had this and all the sides are the same, instead of side plus side plus side, we could do it as 3s. That's really good. But in this triangle, none of the sides are the same. So that s plus s plus s, side 1 plus side 2 plus side 3, is the best we can get. And we just add them up. So if I was to put 2, 3, and 4 meters, then you would just simply add them up. 2 plus 3 plus 4. And we get 5 to 4 is 9 meters. And that's how we do perimeter. The area of a triangle is always the same. And it's base times height. And we divide it by 2. So when you look at the triangle over here, you can see that the base is 3, the height is 2, and it sometimes confuses people, but we're not going to use that 4 at all. We have our formula right here. and we will do what the formula says. So we find the base, which is 3, we substitute that in. We multiply that by the height, which is 2. We're going to divide the whole thing by 2. 3 times 2 is 6, divided by 2, and that equals 3 meters squared, because we're doing we're doing area. And there are the triangles. Trapezoids. You know you're looking at a trapezoid. Let me cut this one out of here. When you have 2 parallel lines. And it's not written, but those show as parallel. Let's put some numbers up here. 5 meters, 7 meters. Let's make this 3 meters. 3 meters. And we'll need a height. We'll call that 2 meters. Okay. So for the perimeter of a trapezoid, you simply add up the sides. Because remember, perimeter is the outside. We're not going to worry about the inside, just the outside. There is no nice way to group these together because all those sides are different. So we simply substitute all the numbers in. 5 plus 3 plus 7 plus 3. Be sure not to take that 2, which was a height, because it has nothing to do with the outside. Anyhow, 5 and 3 is 8, and 7 is 15, plus 3 is 18 meters. And there's our perimeter. When we go to do area, this was a crazy formula that we learned today. There's no easy way to kind of group this one together. It's the base of 1 times the base of 2, and you divide it by 2, enough room here, and multiply it by the height. So when we do it, these here, the top and bottom are our base numbers. So it's 5. We multiply it by 7, because that's the bottom base. We divide it by 2. We're putting brackets to show we're doing all of this first before we multiply it by the height, which is also 2. So in this case, 5 times 7 is 35. And 35, where are we? 35 divided by 2 is 17.5 times 2, and it comes right back to 35. But we are using meters. We're doing area, so it's squared. And there's our area of a trapezoid. Anyhow, our last one that we're going to do are circles. Grade 8s are doing them all the time. Grade 7s are going to practice them once you get done trapezoids, but really, they're not going to. You're not going to be tested on them. So anyhow, perimeter of a circle is actually called circumference, and circumference equals pi times diameter. Now remember, we don't actually have to put a multiplication sign in, because when you put those two symbols together, it means multiplication. But you might have forgotten that pi equals 3.14. It equals more than that. 0.14 goes on, but for our math, we will just put 3.14. And the diameter, this is a radius, and we know that the diameter is twice that, so we know that the diameter is 12. And then we simply multiply those two together. Anyway, multiply those two together, and we get 37.68. And I didn't put any units, so let's make that centimeters. Centimeters. When we go to do the area of a circle, the formula is pi times radius squared. And we remember that pi is 3.14. Our radius that we're going to substitute is 6. We're going to square it. It'll be 3.14 times 36. Let me get my calculator, because I don't know that one off my head. And my answer is 113.04 centimeters squared. That's basically today's work. But remember, we're going to be spending a lot more time on circles and trapezoids. Today was the intro, but this will help you if you're having trouble tonight.